How are things? Look at you. How are things?
Look at you. Look at you. You look great. You look like freaking Sean Connery. You go to Malta. You're like Sean Connery. You're like look at you. You're in Malta. All in the commission is the accent. But you look fantastic. This is
Right.
this is real.
We can stop now. That's been the greatest interview of my life. Thank you, David. It's all over.
All right, we're good.
That was so easy. Hey, Niels Mahoney here from On Air Coach. Delighted to be speaking with, well, you'll know the voice, if not the face, in Los Angeles. In your studio, it looks like David Kaye. All right, David Kaye.
Hey, how are you, Nails?
I'm all right. Is that where all the magic happens, as they say?
I guess it is. Yeah, there's all kinds of, there's all the, the toys and stuff up there, and yeah. So I've been, cocooning in here quite a bit. How's that? Does that make me look all right? But speaking of, I haven't seen you for. It's Sean It's like you moved to Malta and you become Sean Connery. I mean, look at you. This is phenomenal. What the heck?
The only thing I have in common with Sean Connery is stirred, not shaken. That's the only thing I have in common. Not the other way around. Otherwise, yeah, I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. The last time we saw each other was at the, if I remember, it was at the Pacific National Exhibition in Vancouver. I think I was there with my family, and you were there.
That's right.
Do you remember that?
I was working for Z95, and you came into the little mobile studio with your daughter.
That's right. That's right.
And you know what you said to your daughter? This is what Daddy used to do. And I thought,
yeah, I didn't say that, did I? That's what Daddy used to do.
Daddy was a loser once as well, you know. He used to do this
Some of my greatest memories are from our crew when we were all in Vancouver at LG. Howie is here, of course, in Culver City.
Yeah.
Tank. I'm still in touch with Tank Montana.
Yeah, he's still in radio. Tank is still doing radio.
I think he might be. He's in Northern Alberta, I think.
He was in the UK for a long time.
Yeah, he was in a radio station in Hertfordshire.
There you go.
But yeah, so it's really this is great. This is like a reunion for me. So
well, the funny thing is, whenever I coach people, right? For the last 10 years, that's what I've been doing. And when people ask me about ambition and I'd love to do something, I'd love to try something, but there's always the excuse, right? The walls go up and all those defenses. I actually use you in part of my quotes. I'll pay you royalties for it one day.
Okay, sure.
But one day in LG, in the studios in LG, I don't know what we were talking about. I was still green around the gills. It just arrived, kind of going, big North American city, the Irishman off the boat. And we were talking, and you were saying, what do you want to do now? So I said, I don't know. And you said, right? I said, what about you? Okay, here's what I want to do. I want to eventually own a place in North Vancouver and live there. Then I want to move to LA and I want to do voice. And you did those. And that was it. It was as clear as that.
It's what I generally, and I haven't done it last couple of years, but I always teach my kids to, is every New Year's I got into this habit of just writing. Okay, New Year's Eve, like late. It was around between Christmas and New Year's. I would say, okay, time to write in the. I would write. I never kept a diary, but I had a book, and I found one of those books recently because everyone's spring cleaning, or just cleaning, And I was looking through some of the old pictures, and I came across LG, my old radio days, and when I was in London, Ontario, Canada, with the country station, and I found this book, and I'd written every year. I'd write in it what I want to accomplish this year, and it's fascinating. It really is. I always tell people you got to see it first. And I taught my kids. My daughter and her son-in-law wanted to buy a house in Los Angeles. I said, well, it's a tough market. It's like Vancouver. This is one of the tough. Well, I said, here's what you do. You go out and start looking around, looking at houses, like look at, and get that going in your head and see it. And they ended up getting in the market, finding a brand new build less than a mile from us here. And boy, are they ever fortunate to be in there now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they did it. And I didn't have to. I said, I paid for the wedding. I'm not paying for the house. I'm done. I'm over. And they did it. So you can accomplish, it sounds, you hear people say, you can do anything you can.
I know, yeah.
but it really, you have to see it first. And people ask me, well, how do I get into voiceover? How do I do it? Well, there's when I get into it, back in the 90s, I think I had one of the first websites, and I just said, well, what do we do? How do I put an ad in at the time, R&R, the newspaper used to come out. That's long gone. And there's no roadmap. I just decided, okay, I want to do, and I think Jim Conrad was a mentor of mine. I said, I want to do what he does. That's cool. I remember being in the studio with Larry Semke. Remember Larry Semke?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Larry, he lives in Glendale, Arizona, and we for the concert tours and stuff like that. And he played, a spot with Jim Conrad on it. And I was just a young kid at LG, and I went, oh, how do I do that? And I convinced the program director, I think Jim Johnson, JJ, to pay me $50 a month and see if I can do some stuff on like liners or something. And they hired me for it, and I have some of the old stuff, but all it takes too is one person to say yes.
Of course.
All it takes is one person to say, yeah, let's give him a shot. And that's how it happened. My first job in radio.
Well, it's funny because we were talking about that here just the other day. I remember the first gig I ever got. I was 15 years old, right? Didn't know if I was any good. Thought I was. You know what you think? I think I might be, but you don't know until that first person says, you know what? You are good enough, and we'll stick you on our radio station. It's kind of, and then you can start believing it a little bit more. You do need that extra person, don't you? No matter how good you think you might be.
That's true. It takes one. So, and there's many of those people when I think back. Do you remember the late John Major from Chum FM Toronto? Much music.
Oh, the name I wouldn't have met, but the name.
Yeah. I, out of the blue, when I was, I think, 18, I was working at the worst call letters on the planet, CKPT, downtown Peterborough, CKPT, 1420 CK, and it was just, you couldn't make them sound cool at all. And I wrote to John Major, and my mother still has a copy of the letter I wrote to him, and the guy wrote back. He wrote me like 3 pages. Here's a guy who was like a big celebrity at the time in Canada, and he's John Major, and he wrote me back, and so I never forget those things, and these people along the way that have guided me, and we all need those mentors and people we look up to, and I think you always knew that I always wanted to do movie trailers. It was one of the, because everybody, because I want to do it because it's the most difficult part of the business to get into. And I thought, I've never done anything that's been easy. I've always the path of most resistance has been, it's been my,
a challenge to you.
What sport do you want to play? Squash.
Yeah.
Okay. But the reason I chose squash, when I think back, is because it's you. It's not a team sport. It's up to you.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes hand in hand with me being in this room alone. It's up to me.
And starting off in radio, that's the other thing as well, right?
Yes, in radio, because it's to you.
What do you think, though? I always think the fact that you have a big microphone in front of you, it's something that goes back into when we were kids about being heard. You have to be heard now, right? People have to listen to you.
I remember breaking up with a girlfriend, and I've never told this story before. One of my first serious girlfriends back in Peterborough, Ontario, Canada. High school was Kenner, and we were dating. I was, we're young, and she broke up with me, and I remember doing the whole, you're gonna remember my name when I'm older, and I remember I said that, and I think back, I want people to know who I am. I remember saying that. And I don't know why that was important to me.
Do you know what? I think we all start out with some sort of a whiny voice in our heads that we have to satisfy at some point, don't we? Damn it, they'll listen to me now.
I know. Well, they're going to hear me. So it's always a girl. It always comes down to a girl.
Bloody woman.
But I think back of these things, and my mother has a cassette tape. She still, I think she may have. No, they still have a box of cassette.
I don't know what they are. I don't know what they are.
I don't think I have one around.
How would I know? How would I know what they are?
But it's just because, and it's me at 7 years old when I got a tape recorder for Christmas, the old thing, and I was recording the local radio station, which was CKPT.
Of course.
And I would turn down when the guy came on. I would turn down, and here's me, R8 1420 CKP. And as a kid, mimicking the DJ on the air at the station I would eventually work at, and go on to go. That began my career. And here it is. You're listening, 7 years old. So isn't it interesting? The power of
Yeah.
And if it's something you really want, I always tell people, how to get into voiceover. Well, if you really want it, if you really want this, if this is it, if this is your passion, and you'll find a way. I can't give you a roadmap. I can't say, well, you got to go this and you got to do that and you got to talk to this woman and that guy, and there's no roadmap, none.
I think a lot of the time you have the answers inside you. A lot of the time, and you need someone to help you see them, not necessarily give them to you. Because you're right.
You expose them to you, but it's really it's powerful when you think back. Because here I am, a Canadian kid. We were in Vancouver at the time when Deke Animation came up from Los Angeles. Their office was just over here near us. It used to be, and in Toluca Lake, and they were doing G.I. Joe. And so I had no idea. My agent at the time, I didn't even know what an agent was, said, "Do you know how to do voices?" And I was on the air at LG, and I was doing a morning show, with Constable Bob and Dean, and howdy boys and girls, I'm Cowboy Dick, woo! And I'd write songs and be an idiot. And he said, "You know how to do voices?" And I went, "Yeah, sure. I know how to." I mean, I didn't know what he was talking about. And then I had an audition for G.I. Joe, and here's this Canadian kid who gets hired on this show with no experience, and I'm now the great American hero, General Hawk. Mm-hmm. And it was the most, but when we emigrated to the U.S., and I wasn't a U.S. citizen yet, I thought, I can't, this feels wrong. So, we got our citizenship, and so now I don't feel so guilty.
Yeah. It's like...
here's a kid from Canada, from small town Peterborough, and I look around. My friend Rob Paulson and I, we think, how the hell are we in this room?
Yeah. Craig Ferguson says that as well about becoming an American citizen. He says, "Well, you can't kick me out now." That's all he ever said. No matter what happens, you're stuck with me. Yeah.
But it's wild. Like, how the hell is it? And I took a voice director to breakfast once just to thank her. I said, "You know what? Thank you." And I said, "I don't know what sometimes I look around." She goes, "Don't ever lose that. Don't ever lose that." Frank Welker, who we all know is Scooby Doo. Okay. And he's been in for 50 years. And Frank is the same humble gentleman. So nice. You couldn't meet a nicer person out there. And here's and we all feel the same way. Like, how did we get in this room? It's you don't ever lose the fact. Don't ever, get too big for your britches, as they say. You just look around and be grateful that you're here. Someone gave you a shot. So every day to me is a wonder.
Speaking of Scooby Doo, am I right in saying, did you tweet or did you do something once online saying you got to say that immortal line?
Yeah, I've said it a few times.
I remember it must have been the first time you did it or something.
The first time I remember the first time I did it, when I walk in and there's the cast and there's Frank, and you hear I stand. A lot of them sit. I can't sit in an animation session.
That's top 40 radio training for you.
Yeah, I need to stand. My diaphragm's up, and we're doing our practice, and okay, let's get some levels, people. Okay, Frank, and you hear this, okay, and I go, oh my God, that's Scooby Doo, and then they're all there, and then I remember reading the script the night before when I got it, and went, holy shit, I got the line. If it weren't for you meddling kids, oh my God, I got the line. I was a kid. It's 50 years old, Scooby Doo. I grew up with it. If it weren't for you meddling kids, I would have gotten away with it, And I got the line.
That's great.
And I've done it a few more times. I did about a dozen in Scooby Doos, and it's such an iconic thing. But I'm like, how the hell who chose me?
Yeah.
Sure, you want me because there's a lot of other people that are pretty good.
See, that's the imposter syndrome kicking in, isn't it? It can't be me.
They're going to find out. I really don't know what I'm doing.
Do you still get that? Do you still get that feeling?
Oh my God, all the time. I'm doing
That's
a new show
crazy.
that I can't talk about right now. It's very cool. I play an iconic character, and when I got the call from my agent, I thought, uh, really? Wow.
That's brilliant.
That's surprising because I wouldn't have cast me in in that role.
I love that. I love the fact that you still feel that way because yeah, you can get jaded, right? You can go, yeah, whatever, a gig's a gig, and or I don't
Yeah,
fancy it or whatever. That's amazing. So there's still that excitement in there.
every day, and
Wow.
one thing you do get, I tell you, you do get jaded in a way living in Hollywood, in Los Angeles, because you just know that okay, we're going to do a pilot, and you think, well, yeah, okay, we'll do a pilot. It'll be fun. We'll see my friends, and
Yeah.
we don't think anything beyond that, because we know that never get too excited about anything, and
Yeah.
don't get
Sure.
too overconfident because it's the business. The
Yeah.
fact that you get to do 3 or 4 seasons of something, it's like, hey, we're living on borrowed time here, because in this town, it's like poof.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you do get jaded in that way, but you get relaxed into it.
What's that show that Matt LeBlanc was in? It was all about that. There was a couple of English script writers came over to LA. Can't remember the name
Oh,
of it now.
yeah.
I can't remember the name of it, but it was based on that. Say it again.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know the one I mean. Yeah,
I
it's
forget
gone.
last night on. I was scrolling for something to watch. Ended up watching a British show actually.
Uh-huh. I can't
Yeah,
remember the name of it, but it's the same thing. They're
yeah,
always looking for renewals. They're always looking for
mhm,
they make it to 100 pilots. One of them gets through. It's a great show. It's really well written, really well acted. But
too.
but that same kind of idea.
But it's one thing about the reason I'm here, and other expats that have since moved here, and we have drinks or breakfast together, and we go, you know what? We used to, and this is no slight against anywhere else I've been, or Vancouver, but Vancouver's a great market for film, television, and of course, some amazing talent comes out of there. We used to talk about, hey, we should make a show and do this and do that and do all these things, and we would talk and talk and talk and talk, and
Mm,
then nothing would happen because the infrastructure is just that type of thing it's there you can do a Canadian show and you can
yeah,
get
I
people
know.
together, but it's a little different because when you come down here, like this little goofy wine show I'm doing, it's because I wanted something to do because I like wine. And
Hmm.
all of a sudden I open my mouth, like I says, well, I used to produce television, why don't we do, well, my wife, and she does this, and I say, all of a sudden we've crewed up, and we're shooting our first show, and I only come up with the idea like a week and a half ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
and
different,
I,
eh?
and you're like, because everybody's go, well, I got a barn, I got some hay, you want to put on a show, and it happens here because everyone's like, the juices are, everyone wants to do something, even if no one watches,
Mm.
people, hey, it's there's an energy here that I love, and I gravitated toward it,
Well,
and
it's almost like the way they say you go to Europe and the history is the culture. It's almost like
oh
their showbiz is the culture, though. Entertainment is the culture.
yeah, there's nowhere else, nowhere else in the world where you can go to breakfast. My favorite breakfast place over here called Red Maple, because that's an old. They're okay.
Open up, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but you can sit, and Warner Brothers Studios is very close in the lunchtime crowd, and any city in the world you can sit down and there's like 4 of the tables talking about shows and pitching and agents, and so and it's so weird because it's a company town.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
really
yeah.
is a company town, and you have these conversations. You think, if I was in Podunk, Saskatchewan, this conversation would seem like I'm from Mars.
That's right. That's right. There's a
Oh,
whole different vibe, the whole different way of thinking and looking at the world, isn't it?
yeah,
And that
yeah.
suits you, though. You like that. That's what suits you. That suits you the way you.
And I always joke with people too. I was a little lost when I'm late in my career in Vancouver. I was a little, because I was flying down here for 10 years back and forth. I was a little,
I
I'm
remember that. I
a
remember you doing
family.
that.
You remember
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
10 years on an airplane, man, and
Mm.
almost sometimes once a week. Um, I was a little like lost, and I'm one of the few people that had to come to LA to find myself.
I'm
What?
I'm home.
Yeah, not Machu Picchu, but I had to come to
That,
LA. They go,
that's
oh,
right.
this way. Got it.
I
You
found my
know,
soul. I found my soul in Rodeo Drive. Yeah,
who
that's
knows?
amazing. But listen,
Yeah.
I'm delighted to see you. It's been too long. Maybe sometime when you're over this side of the world, which you will be eventually again.
Oh, I can't. Oh, we were
Uh,
supposed to be there, like, this past
yeah,
month.
you
But
can,
Malta,
yeah,
we're supposed to be this. We're probably not gonna go to Italy in October. That's probably the whole year's canceled. The 2020 at midnight we said, okay, everybody have a party. Good. All right, 2020, we're done now. We're canceled.
yeah.
See
Go
you
to
in
your room.
2021.
Go to your room. We'll see you next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you'll come down here one day, or we'll go over there someday, and we'll have that beer eventually. And yeah.
I would love nothing more than to have a pint
And
and sit down and talk
I
radio.
could I could make you a nice cocktail if you like.
Yes, perfect.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. David Kaye, thank you so much, man.
Oh God, thank you, Neil. It's really great to see you.